and gentlemen. All right, I was going to say something, but I can't. We're live now, Nicole. Okay. It's about follow-up. Hey, you know what? Today we are here, a very special day. We haven't done a Facebook Live in a couple weeks, and now we have the one, the only, number one in her office, the real estate extraordinaire, Nicole Demas, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause.
I'm clapping for you.
I was clapping for you.
Okay, that's fine.
Right,
sorry for my background. I'm at home. I'm usually, in a more professional setting, but here we are.
It looks like you're in a cloud because it's so white. You're like it's like perfect background.
Yeah, well, I moved into a new house and it's very white.
It's very white. All right, well, get us caught up. We haven't talked in a while. How's everything going? How's the market? How you doing? All that good stuff.
The market's weird, and I think that a lot of people would probably agree with that. I just feel like the uncertainty, and I don't know if that's like interest rates or whatever it may be, but there's definitely more inventory. So I think buyers are able to have more time and be more selective about what direction they want to go for their purchase. So it's definitely changed. And I have seen that sellers aren't really, I don't want to say desperate, but in a sense of like they have to do something. So I think that they may get offers and sometimes they just don't take them. And it's, unless you have a lifestyle change or you have to get out, I really don't see people like in a hurry to take the first deal they get.
Right. Yeah,
So
you're in a market where people don't. It's not a have to situation. Although you do have some of those, right? They're moving out of the area or whatever, So, but for the most part, you're right. I mean, and there's a decent amount of inventory on the market compared to normal where you are, right?
yeah, there's definitely a decent amount. And, there's no secret that Arizona gets hot in the summer. So we do have some of our, what we call snowbirds, leave. So it does slow down a little bit in the summer. But that also leaves it to people who are really, really serious about buying. So, I have a little bit of both right now, buyers and sellers. And it's interesting trying to navigate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But how are you doing personally?
Personally, I'm really good. I've been through quite a bit in the last few months and
Yes.
like rocking.
Uh, tell us a little about it, whatever you feel comfortable telling, and just so they get an idea of what you're talking about.
I went through a bilateral mastectomy preventatively on March 4th. My mom passed away from breast cancer when I was 19. That spread. So it actually was her lungs that took her life, but it was essentially breast cancer of. So I've been going down a rabbit hole for as long as I can remember between doctor's offices and ultrasounds and MRIs and everything in between, mammograms. I started them at a very young age just to kind of be proactive on it. And I went for a mammogram on August 7th of last year, so 2024. And it came back that they saw something. And it's like every time I go in, it's like, oh, we have to biopsy. We got to keep you here. We have to do a diagnostic. I have what they call breast tissue that is dense. So it was always like, oh, we have to test it. We have to do every extreme. And when I was about 22 years old, I had a vacuum sucked biopsy where they actually tested what it's called a fibroadenoma in one of my breasts, and it came back benign. So it was safe, but as I get older, every time they see something, they want to put me through that again. So I remember them saying like, we have to biopsy it or you have to come back in 6 months. And I was like, oh man, it was a never ending cycle. So I went deeper and I went to a breast comprehensive center at the beginning of 25, and they did a genetic testing, which came back that I had a variant of the BRCA gene, which is essentially the breast cancer gene. It wasn't BRCA1 or BRCA2. It was a variant, and an unknown is what they call it. So they want me to call every year to see what science and technology has discovered about this unknown variant. So I was like living under a microscope. So after that, they went into a risk assessment, which put me at about 37%. So if you do, think about that. That's driving around a block 3 times and essentially dying in a car accident, one of those 3. So they told me it wasn't really if for me, it was when. So I decided that I was going to do a bilateral mastectomy for preventative reasons. And I think making that choice was ultimately best for me. So I started doing research with doctors, reconstruction, which there's so much behind it. And there's so much technology that people don't understand. I think a lot of people think, you have a mastectomy and then you wake up and you have nothing. But like the way technology is, like I woke up with implants. So I went under, they scraped everything, and I woke up and I had implants in. But I was able to choose the doctors that did it for me, right? And I think that that was such a mindset for me that I was like, okay, I'm making this decision. I can I can choose who I want to do all this work. And oh yeah, I went through it and I chose who I thought were the best team for me. And I love my results. I should have done it sooner. I think that women have no idea what options they have. So yeah, it was the best thing I ever did.
Wow. Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's why I wanted to, whatever you were comfortable sharing, I think that's a great message for a lot of women out there too, that you do have options. And, I think that's completely brave and wonderful and smart. You have a brand new, wonderful child, you know, and like what happened with you. Your mother was 19. My father was 21. So I understand, that,
No,
that
I was 19. My mom was 50, but I'm almost gonna know her less of. I'm to a point where I've known her less of my life than I did knowing her. You know what I mean? She's been passed for longer than she's been alive, and it's like, yeah. Now I have a daughter, and I'm like, man, I think she's so young that like it's great because she doesn't understand it now, but when she grows up, I can have that conversation and kind of tell her like, this is what I went through, and it was cool because I did share my story pretty publicly, and you would be blown away with how many girls reach out to me. Like insane amounts between Instagram and Facebook, and so many people who did not know what options that they had because, I think for me, them being like, hey, you have stage 3 cancer, like you have to go into chemo and radiology. It just wasn't mentally or emotionally something that I think I could have dealt with as well as I dealt with, hey, I'm going to make this choice. And it went from, well, which is crazy. So my mom had a sister and I knew she got diagnosed with breast cancer, but she kind of was estranged from my family after my dad got remarried and just a long family drama story. And her ex-husband actually wrote on my post and was like, brave, whatever. And I was like, oh, thinking of my aunt, sending her love. And he was like, oh, she passed away 6 months ago.
Oh,
So
wow.
when I woke up from my surgery, I had found that out. And I was like, wow. So it raised my risk assessment, right? Because now I have somebody direct bloodline that passed away again. So it was just like so many things aligned. And I was like, my twin sister went through it the week after me. So we got to recover essentially together, which was awesome because you really had somebody going through exactly what you're going through at the same time.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. That's so great. And it's great you guys have each other to do that with too. But great decision. Obviously, you look wonderful. You look healthy. Hair looks great. You're doing well. Okay, I can't go any
Yeah,
further.
I want to put that I want to put that message out there and like I encourage every girl who has any question or is unsure or standing, at a crossroad if they have questions, man, reach out to me. I followed Olivia Munn, who's like a celebrity. I don't know if you know who she is. I followed her story very, very closely because she went through a mastectomy. She did have stage 0, I think, cancer, but she had the BRCA test and then she was diagnosed. And then a reporter went through and reported on her story. And then, like, I was following it so closely that I was like, wow, this is so empowering and strong. I was like, wow. So I don't know. It's crazy. I think women are just a different breed of superhero.
I agree. Definitely.
Mhm.
And it's awesome that you share that. And once again, if anybody wants to reach out to you, I think that'd be a great idea because it's got to be you had to be real nervous going through that, and then now that it's behind you and you know you've made the right decision, it's got to be fulfilling to know that you've done it and it wasn't easy, but you did it anyway, and good thing, and your sister as well. So congratulations. That's really good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, the anticipation of like, oh my God, I got to go in, this is happening, like, was definitely scary. But then when I woke up, and also when, they give you a plan, right? That this is what we hope happens. And you don't really know how it's going to end up until you wake up. So I remember waking up being like, oh, because
Hmm.
they have to test every tissue and you don't really know if you're going to be able to go direct to implant or however that looks until you wake up. So I went under being like, gosh, I hope this is how this ends. And then I woke up being like, oh, okay, like here we are, because you don't have to go direct to implant. Some people opt not to go direct to implant or whatever works best for their needs and their lifestyle. I think, it's a choice. And I made my choice. And I just really hope that was the direction that I was going to be able to go.
And it ended up that way too. So good job. Excellent, excellent. Well, good for you. Good for you. That's such a great story, and keep telling it. And I'm sure that women will reach out to you, which is, I think, is smart. I mean, smart. And I do agree that the women are a different breed of superhero. Men are men are a little different. If I had to do that, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah. And making that choice and just being like, yeah, I'm going to do this is like, it was insane. And I think when I said it to the doctors, they were all like, oh, really? Because I don't know anyone who has done it preventatively. I only know people who went through it because they had to. And I think I searched for months to talk to people who could relate on the level of, okay, it was a preventative and it was a decision that they made. And I couldn't find those people. I actually got connected to one girl that was a friend of a friend, and I talked to her, and she did it preventatively. And she did it so long ago, and her story and technology has evolved so much since she did it, that it was like such a different situation. And I was like, you really do feel like on a lone island because you don't have anyone to talk to about it. So yeah, now I have the girls who, they go into risk assessments or they do their genetic testing, and maybe they come back with a BRCA gene, maybe they come back with a variant that I did. And yeah, I actually have a friend who is taking the steps to go through it right now because she's like, I had no idea these were my options.
Hmm. Good stuff. Absolutely. Well, good for you. You're kind of a maverick anyway, right? You got out. You got into real estate within no time. You're number one in your office. I can see you making that decision too. Well, if I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, then why don't I just do it now?
And
Right?
I think that that's so crazy because we did recently have our award ceremony and I did finish one in our office. And I was like, wow, and somebody looked at me and said, can you believe your last 2 years? I mean, you were pregnant, you had a baby, you had a mastectomy, you had a crazy work year. And it's like, well, I guess when you look at it like that, I mean, that's kind of cool, and I just hope to keep
House.
building. Oh, I did. You're right. Built a house, moved into a house. My child's now lived in 4 homes and she's not even 2 years old.
Right. Within a couple of years, you've given birth for the first time and had double mastectomy. That was a two pretty incredible things. So congratulations. That's so good. And and it gives you, I would imagine, I'm just guessing now because I'm a guy, so I can't exactly put myself in your shoes. I would imagine the peace of mind you have knowing that it's behind you now, you're healthy, it went well, has got to be a whole different place than you're at compared to worrying about it all the time.
I had a black cloud living over me for so long. I mean, I like dreaded the days that I had to go and get my mammograms because I had to do them every 6 months. A lot of people do them annually. I had to do them every 6 months and then alternate between my ultrasounds and my MRIs and the diagnostics and this and that. And it was never like I walked out of there and it was great news. So it was, yeah, I think the second it was done, they said, congratulations, your risk assessment is now like 2%. And they actually shoot a dye inside of you and it will see if any like lymph nodes on like around your armpits or anything had been attacked, and they test the tissue behind your nipple right then and there to say like, okay, like you are free of anything cancer related, which is incredible.
Hmm. Good for you. Awesome stuff. Wow. Well, that's good. Good to hear. Glad to know. And I called you when I remember talking to you and you were like, yep, I did it. And it's over because you had posted and I was talking to Michelle a lot. Michelle, your second mother.
Yeah.
Right.
She
So
was there
wow.
when I woke up, you know?
Yeah,
So it's like,
great.
yeah, it's crazy the support that I had behind me. And then, like, you know, with work and friends and family, and like, oh, people were dropping things off and people were helpful with Izzy. And like, it's so cool to see like the support behind you when you go through things like that. So I'm
Yeah,
lucky and grateful.
lucky and grateful. And let's face it, you're nice to them too. You go out of the you're good to your friends and your close family and everything too. I see that as well. And I see your social media with your daughter. She's getting her own little personality. It's very obvious.
Oh, ah, the apple does not fall far from the tree on this one.
Yes.
That girl knows what she wants. She knows how to get it, and she gets it.
Right.
Yeah. And,
Your
you know, her
husband,
daughters,
Mike, like, even the dogs are female, right?
no, the dog is a male.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. It's 2-on-2 then. At least I feel better for Mike.
Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy because she is in like a preschooler now, which is like a learning academy. I just wanted to socialize her at a, you know, a younger age. She had a nanny for her first year, and then we put her into a preschooler learning academy. And I swear once a week, the teacher pulls me aside and is like, you know, Miss Nicole, Izzy really knows what she wants. She's very smart, you know? And I'm like, oh, you know, like she told me that Izzy grabbed her by the skirt and drug her to the cabinet and opened the cabinet and pointed at the cookies and was like, more. Like she knew where they were. She pulled her over there. They like, they put a little lock on it now. And I'm like, oh, is that like normal for the kids to do that? And she's like, no. I was like, "Ah, cool,
Is
thank
that
you. I'm
normal
glad
for
it's
the
my
kid
child.
to go over by the skirt and point to the cookies? No, I don't think that's a step up. It's a step above.
Oh, it is actually crazy. And she's very into dancing right now. I don't know if you've seen on my social media. She likes EDM music and she dances around my bathroom and she makes me replay the same song over and over and over. And she just catches a vibe.
I love it. I love it. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, let's talk a little real estate because this has been extremely awesome. But get them caught up. How you doing this year? What's your goals? What do you want to see happen? All that good stuff.
I'm doing really good this year. I just closed one yesterday. You know, I have one pending and two listed. So I'm cruising. You know, my goal is always just to do better than I did last year. And I think that with everything that I've had going on, because after, did I take time off with my recovery? No, never do, which is, you know, I think it keeps my mindset better when I just focus on work. And I've always been the person who like tries to do it all, you know, which I, I think that it's been really, really helpful for me. And I'm aiming to do, you know, I just want to do a little bit better than I did last year. I don't even remember what I ended up last year, just shy of 15 million maybe. And I think that if I did a little bit better this year, I think that would be awesome. But I think the market is a little bit different this year than it was last. I'm curious to see how the tail end of this year finishes. So I'm very hopeful, and my goal is just make my clients happy and help them, you know, achieve whatever goal real estate wise they have. So whatever that looks like, I'm happy.
Whatever that looks like is what it's going to be. And how about so somebody out there who's trying to maximize this existence called real estate and do well this year? Give them a couple of pieces of advice. What would you tell them to focus on?
You know, I've probably talked about this a lot, but I have done extremely well in my farm. It's 48 houses. I used to live in the neighborhood only for 2 years, but I have done so many transactions in that. I wouldn't say just in that neighborhood, but just through them and their kids and their friends and so on and so forth. It snowballs into business that, you know, you can't really put at, oh, this, I got it from, I know just that farm and those people. So I think I heavily focus on that. And right now, you know, I'm now going 6 years into the business. I started in 2019, and I'm, I do so much repeat. You know, everyone's like, oh, do you have a lot of clients? And I went back and I looked, and it's like, I don't necessarily have a ton of clients. I just have repeat ones, you know? I just do business over and over with them. And I'm lucky in the sense that my price point has been a little bit higher from the get go. But I just want to say that that doesn't mean I only do luxury. Okay. I want to get that out there because some people think that I do. And it's like, I love to help people from first time home buyers to, you know, people ending up in their dream home. That's where they're going to stay forever. So anything in between, I'm happy to take on. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good year. And, as long as I maintain a work life balance and be happy, then that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, yeah, and you got a lot going on too. You got a lot of good stuff going on. Your family, your beautiful daughter. You got great friends around you, like you said. And you're doing very well. You got business going on, so keep it rocking. We all know that when the Fed comes off their high horse and they lower the base rate, the interest rates come down. We know it's going to ignite a little bit. Until then, it'll stay steady the way it is, and hopefully that's not too far away. My guesstimation is around September, but we'll see. And once that starts happening and the rate starts climbing down a little bit, the market will kick back into gear because a lot of people now are the have tos, the want tos, and it would be nice. Those will all jump in when the interest rate becomes more manageable for them because there's a lot of people out there sitting, as you know, 2.5, 3.25 interest rates. I was just talking to a woman this morning. For her to downsize, and it would cost her more money, right, based on today's rate. It makes no sense.
Which is great because like September is when, the tail end of our summer and we really start kicking back up in our fall season. So I think that would be a great time. And yeah, I think that I'm with you on that. I think that you're right and that I hope. And, I think that people who are starting out in this business, like, hold on, you're going to have your ups and your downs. And it's like, I think that treating it like a business and waking up every day and understanding that it is going to be your number one, and like I've always told you, cold calling and door knocking are not really things that have ever worked for me or things that I've ever done. So I think leveraging things you love, sphere of influence, and follow up is probably the best way to start and continue to grow.
Yeah. Know your strengths, know what you want to do, but you got to be doing something proactive, like you said. So is in any of them work, you can use your personality. And I know that you use a lot of social media as well, which works really well. You got to do the job. You got to be consistent. But if you are, you'll do business from that too.
Yeah, and somebody was. I think when I first started, somebody told me like, you should never really be sitting in a room with a bunch of people that don't know what you do. And I was like, that's honestly really smart advice. Like, why doesn't the person next to you know? Why do you like? I go to so many like mom happy hours or events or networking things, and yeah, they all know. Like that's kind of the goal, right?
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Networking. Your net has
Mm,
to be working. No, it's important.
yes.
All right. Well, awesome. Any final words you want to leave these lovely people today? I appreciate you taking your time out, by the way.
Oh my gosh, always for you. No, I just appreciate it and all the support that I've had over the last year and, everyone who's always stood in my corner. So grateful and appreciative. And that
Well,
includes you. That includes you.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh,
I think the best. You know that you are a one of a kind. Well, actually, that's not true because you have a twin sister. You're two of a
yeah.
kind, and you guys are very.
It is crazy because I really don't think that they make girls like me.
No, they
I
don't.
really don't.
No,
Oh,
and
it's
two pack, but yes, but you guys are different too, but you're very much the same. Yes, I agree
mhm.
with you. 100%. I agree with you 100%. One of a kind, Nicole. Keep it rocking. You are the best. Thanks for taking your time out today. Really appreciate it. All right. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everybody.